Let's have a talk, let's have a chat, talking about a little this and that. Hello and welcome to another episode of This and That. I am your host, Mary Easterling, and today I have a rather, I'm not even sure how I want to put this. It's a prophecy. It's something that Bob Neumann put out in 1998. I'm going to be rereading this today in 2025. But I started with a prologue. But before I even start my prologue, to listen to anything else from This and That, go to talkingaboutthисandthat.wordpress.com and click on the podcast link. This episode, I'm not sure if there's a series for this or it's a single episode, but because it is from Bob Neumann, the prophetic will go on our blog page. It'll have a read more link. Click on it. It'll take you to the article, which has the podcast, which opens in a separate tab, so you can listen while you look. Dated July 1998, which is interesting, because here comes the preview. BRICS. I don't mean bricks and mortar. I mean BRICS. I think it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and I forget what the S is. South Africa. Right. South Africa. Brazil, and also, they have a new player. Brazil, India, China, and South Africa, I believe. Anyway, BRICS. First made aware in a video commentary to me, this article tells us where it is now. Dated May 27, 2025 from The Diplomatist, and I'm going to read their copy. Data from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, which is us, we kind of run it, shows a gradual decline in the USD's, United States dollars, share of global foreign exchange reserves. In the 1970s, it accounted for approximately 85% of the reserves. According to estimates by 2022, this share had dropped to 58%. Currencies such as the Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, and Swiss franc previously played modest roles in foreign reserves now make a larger share. According to the World Gold Council, there has also been a notable increase in gold purchases by central banks during 2022 and 2023, indicating a move away from reliance on the U.S. dollar. Folks, I interrupt what I'm reading. What happened in 2020? What happened in 2008? Those were a pair of strikes that came against our markets, came against our reserves, came against our economy. One was, the market just took a nosedive. But see, BRICS was just getting started back in '08, according to the history. 2020, that's hindsight, and everybody was pandemic. I still wear a mask when I go places that are not my normal biome, because I'm a caregiver. I walked into a Publix, and this black guy walks out, looks at me and says, "COVID's over!" And I have just recently read that overseas, they're dealing with a new strain. It gives you tummy troubles and diarrhea, this one. It's not just about your lungs anymore. This is going to the gut and the poop chute. Oh, boy. And it's possible it's already hit our shores. Airplanes, best sardine cans ever. Only takes one to have it, incubating, and then start feeling the pinch on our soil. And then we find out that it's something that can pass on to others. So everybody on the plane is now infected too. I mean, that's how it started the first time. Let's see us herd this immunity. Back to the article. In the changing economic landscape, de-dollarization or trade in quote-unquote non-dollar currencies poses a potential threat to the value of the U.S. dollar and, by extension, global U.S. economic dominance. Let me say that again. Global U.S. economic dominance. Oh, we're not looking for militaristic dominance? No. Keep listening. Because you're wondering why we're doing what we're doing? Why Israel's gotten all spiky, wrathy, angry, and throwing bombs and rocks at Palestinians? Meh. It's not about the land. Not looking at this, it's not about the land. We're in this for the money. There has been a growing emphasis by some countries on building an alternative economic architecture to the existing one dominated by the West, as well as the supremacy of the U.S. dollar. It is the imposition of sanctions in the aftermath of the Russian-Ukraine war which has given a strong fillip to the quote-unquote non-dollar trade. Talk of an alternative to the existing Western-dominated economic architecture has been on for some time. Russia, China, economic ties, and the growing level of non-dollar trade. Russia, China. Trump has been trying to cozy up to Russia for a while now. Now we know why. He's trying to get them to wean back over to the United States dollar and to pull away from China. But Russia said, if I go over and I grab at Ukraine over railroad rights, because that's all it is about, is running a rail. They have an old, aging rail infrastructure from China all the way down to the Gulf for Iran and Africa as part of a new, shall we say, Silk Road economy, a different way to trade that cuts us out. These are Trump's middlemen that he's trying to cut out because he's a player as a builder, as a real estate tycoon, good one or bad one, he's still a player. He gets the drift, and if it goes in the wrong way, all of his wealth goes right down the tubes. Can we hear the toilet flush? So, Russia and China have taken the lead in de-dollarization due to their geopolitical aims and objectives. In 2023, Russia and China announced plans to increase bilateral trade in non-USD currencies, and this has gained momentum. While commenting on this issue, Russian President Vladimir Putin remarked, quote, "The deepening of commercial ties is also facilitated by the timely, coordinated steps taken in Russia and China to transfer settlements between our countries to national currencies," unquote. I ask, what would those settlements be? They're warmongering countries, so bullets. With who else? Iran. The article continues. Trade between both countries in 2024 was $243 billion, surpassing the 2023 figure. The share of USD in Russia-China bilateral trade was estimated at 90% in 2015. In 2024, well over 90% is carried out in Russian rubles and Chinese yen or yuan. Both countries have also launched an alternative cross-border payment mechanism to the U.S.-dominated SWIFT, short for Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications System, an alternative cross-border payment mechanism to the Society for Worldwide Worldwide W Interbank Financial Telecommunication. In other words, when you talk big dollars, you don't talk an interbank transfer like lots of folks have more than one bank that they deal with. So if they want to shuffle funds, most of the time banks will allow you to make a request after you set up your accounts where you can request funds from Bank A to go to Bank B. But when you talk above a certain amount of money, it's not so easy as just click. Those are wire transfers. But wire transfers are not the big thing they used to be either. They're using an interbank system for the bigger money. Now, supposing your banks are, one is in the United States and the other one is in the Philippines. They're two completely different banks. You would have to go out to the network for international banking and set up that connection to move money from account A to account B that way. SWIFT is how the West does it. These guys have formed their own thing of SWIFT. Let's just call it RIFT, because it's going to make a rift on our money and our international banking as these that are more or less an Axis powers bloc begins to pull away from the Allied power bloc. And right there, you start getting into politics. Like politics, bloodsuckers all, something like that. They're hacking into the internet and making their own little hub, which shuts us out of the money. You see what I mean? It continues. It's not just Russia and China, but several other countries have taken steps to promote trade in non-dollar currencies. And here's where things get interesting. Considering what's going on right now in Iran, listen to this. In 2022, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei suggested that Iran-Russia trade should be in non-dollar currencies. Said Khamenei, quote, "The dollar should be slowly removed from the path of global transactions," unquote. Now, you think Trump didn't know about this? He was in 16 to 20, tried to stay in, couldn't, but was running everything with intel from behind the scenes through MAGA and the Republican Party from 20 to 2024 when he landslided himself right back into office. And he'll be there till the 2028 election when he has to leave. Because he has been running the scenes during the Biden administration and has been tapped in through MAGA to all our intel, but he has dialed out Biden and every other president to all intel. This is what he did with his little executive orders when he came in. He started dialing all the old presidents out. They can't get into his regime and his cookie jar. They can't find out what he's doing. Right, because he's not going to let the world know either. He thinks he's going to fight this. That's what this is all about, money. Ayatollah Khomeini approved the use of national currencies in place of the U.S. dollar for trade with Russia. Tehran Times, July 19, 2022. This article quotes that source. Since then, several agreements have been signed between the central banks of Russia and Iran to pursue this goal. In January 2025, Russian President Vladimir Putin remarked, quote, "Our countries have almost completely switched to national currencies in mutual settlement, are striving to build sustainable channels of credit and banking interaction, and are working on interfacing national payment systems." It would be pertinent to point out that over 95% of trade between Russia and Iran in 2024 was in rubles and rial. In 2024, trade between Russia and Iran was estimated at $4.8 billion. This is where I stop. It goes on to delineate India and those lands as part of the de-dollarization plan. So here's the smoking gun to our activities. POTUS wants to force the shift back west. This is why we're doing the proxy wars. Biden was trying to force the shift back west. POTUS knew about this. Trump POTUS knew about this back in 16, 17, 18. In 2020, when the scourge hit us, COVID hit us, we got hogtied. We had to protect the peep, which was why Trump was in an I could care less attitude. He was looking at the dollar chain being pulled, the drain plug being pulled on the USD. If we lose our position globally, and we've already dropped a point in our national credit is going to continue to go down. We're going to become weak on the global exchange. This has to go back as far as Reagan. It has to go back as far as Reagan. If not Reagan, Clinton, Obama. Do you understand? This is about the money. It's all over the money. But for the righteous in Christ who can receive from every word of his mouth, does money or mammona or the luck god mean anything? It shouldn't. One would have to radically shift from this culture to, quote-unquote, something else. But consider what is to follow this prologue, and it just might not matter. We still have the last book of the Bible to contend with. No amount of shifting with words or bullets will mean mean anything when the planet itself turns on its inhabitants, guided at the hands that were once unseen and now are unavoidable. Consider your ways, believers, and what you hold dear. This was given in 1998. It is in motion here in 2025, nearly 20 years later, and this is what Bob writes. Dear brother, a week or so ago, President Bill Clinton returned from China. I paid little attention to the whole event as it went on, yet in my spirit I kept revisiting a picture, an image that I must have seen somewhere along the line. It was the two princes standing with a small separation between them, each in casual dress. On their faces were stage smiles, for the camera only. Now each time I see this picture in my spirit, a different tasting flow begins. Like the quote-unquote basket vision, talking about this and that.wordpress.com, and I believe the Basket Visions is in the Big Reveal 2 Under the Hood series. Go look it up on our podcast page. Since it's from Bob Neumann, you can also go look it up on our blog page. Like the Basket Visions I sent to you, it has been a progressive thing, so I will try to put it on paper for your thoughts and the thoughts of your readers. To the Prince over America, you have made this long journey for the anticipation of great gain. You espouse the rights of man openly to the gullible and undiscerning, and then cast them away to sell your virtue to an exceedingly great avenue of wealth. You who live in deceit and subterfuge have fallen into your own pit. Whore among whores, you have found even a greater whore, whose appetite even you cannot quench. Arrogant and assured in the spotlight, you now tremble in the dark, for you, foul, deceiving spirit, have encountered a devouring spirit greater than you, hungrier than you, much more patient and disciplined than you. Tremble in terror of your own perfidy, for you have enticed the prince of all worms, and he hungers even now. To the prince over Asia, smile, great worm, for good reason. Your largest, plumpest contenders has come to you and played the harlot. So long you have waited patiently, building your strength and expanding your kingdom. You kept yourself aloof and distant from the princes of Babylon, from all the merchants of Tarshish. They have coveted and lusted over you, thinking of expanding their kingdoms through and in you. They see your size and lust for unimagined gain. They look at your enticing postures and smell your wantonness. They pursue you in their dreams for so long that now you have made yourself available to their attentions. They rush into your arms with promises and pledges. They, with obvious ardor, throw themselves into your devouring maw. To the whore of America, what did you seek to gain? How cheaply did you sell yourself in the rages of your lust? How many of your children did you sell to assure a pleasant moment that ended so quickly and so cheaply? Was it worth it? Even now you know that you have sown wild seed that will run rampant through your fields. Even now the emptiness that you feel as the worm of your affection sucked out the life from you, yet you still yearn for more. You sold your strength for simple baubles. You emptied your granaries and storehouses for a promise, and have nothing to show as your own children cry out in hunger. Was it worth it? Was it worth your inheritance? To the worm of Asia, most foul spirit, counterfeiting spirit, devouring spirit, your fellow princes flock to you with offers of union and covenant. They see great promise for themselves and their kingdom, and you have enticed them with pleasant words, teased them with offers made that include their basest desires. They forgot your nature and ran with their lust. Is that your laugh that they will not hear, entrapped in their own delusion? Great worm that you are, your aspirations are great, and you look at yourself with increasing pleasure. Your lusts betray you. Even now I say, I am as great as he. I can exalt myself over all princes. My size and strength this world has never seen. I can be the prince of this world, for I am as great as the dragon. To the dragon, worm, the worm, the whore, and all you princes of this world. Listen up, folks. Your time is short. Your pride grows daily. Is this a divided house we now see? Certainly the kingdom of darkness cannot be divided against itself, or have the words of the Most High again proven him to be faithful and true. Fight amongst yourselves, O maggots, devouring this carcass you have plundered for so long. Strive, kingdom against kingdom, as the Holy One did testify against you. Enjoy these last days of your arrogance and your plotting for power and wealth, for the promised one comes, just as he said. Weep and wail, you fallen ones, for your future has been written, your judgment has been pronounced, and the execution of the sentence will not be held back. To the watchmen on the walls of Jerusalem, for Zion's sake we are not silent. For the sake of Jerusalem we will not be held back, for our vindication comes in glory and majesty. Blow now the trumpets, sound the alarm, build up the highway, for the bridegroom comes, Selah. Now, this came today, June 24, 2025. It's a question and a statement. Do you understand the concept of Jerusalem and the nation founded in 48? They are not one and the same. The city to come is peace, whereas what is on earth is the threshold of shivering, a cup of trembling that does damage to all who side with it. Do you understand the concept of Zion? It is not a political movement. It is the height from which law will come. For after the bridegroom has received his beloved, and they are wed, he shall take up his reign. When he has ordered the house, he will turn it over to the one from whom all things first came. Ponder what you're hearing. Realize that it is happening on the news right now. We're in the shadow of the last book. Even now, it is opening in front of us. But until Seal 6, nobody's going to notice. How sad. Anybody who listens to this broadcast, who is a believer in Jesus Christ, listen to this broadcast again and again. Realize what is coming. Make a choice. Choose you now whom you will serve. The one true and living God, or this world, its culture, and its economics. Death is not the end for someone who is in Christ. It's just a transition. For the King will come, and we will become something so different that we will look on what we have right now around us that we think is so important, tip our heads back, and roar with laughter. We will be busting a gut at the absurdity of what we think is important. And that will do it for this episode of This and That. Until then.